end of the James Bond walking tour of London with Brit Movie Tours, my fellow mates of James Bond Club Deutschland and I were pleasantly surprised by a visit from John Moreno, just at the end of the tour and in front of the MI6 building.
The snow this year is better at Innsbruck.
But not at San Moritz.
Ferrara.
Bond. James.
Luigi.
The actor, who played Italian agent Luigi Ferrara in For Your Eyes Only, is really a lovely person, who really enjoyed spending time with us, telling funny anecdotes, taking pictures with us, and finally giving some fighting demonstrations.
Oh, you've seen it all? Because there was a big celebration on Tuesday at the Albert Hall. Were you there?
Oh,
yes. Oh, you were there. I was invited, but I couldn't go. Oh, such a shame. For Your Eyes Only on your mobile. God.
He's a Bond fan.
The Bond fan. Well, I mean, I'll tell you a little anecdote about what happened to me when I was working with Roger in Cortina d'Ampezzo in northern Italy, the Dolomites. I think it was the third day I was there. We'd already shot all the scenes in the ice rink. And then we were going to shoot the scenes where I first meet him up in Tofana. That's right, you know.
10 a.m.
the name. My gosh. Anyway, I got a call the car would pick me up at 8 o'clock and take me to the location. And they took me to a place which looked like a very, very small bus terminal, made of wood, rather pretty. So I went in there, and all I saw was a second assistant. And I said, well, where is everybody? He said, well, they're at the location. And I said, well, where is that? Isn't it here? He said, no. He said, come to the window, John. He said, now you see, look across the valley, and you see right at the top of the mountain there. I said, that's where we go. And I said, well, but how are we going to get there? Are we going by car? He said, no, John, no. He said, we're going in that. And I said, what's that? He said, John, it's a cable car. And it looked like a very small mini car, really. And I said, then I saw the cable. And I said, oh my God, it's going right across the great ravine of a valley, straight up to these mountains. And I thought, oh my God. And at that time, Roger arrived. And I rushed up to Roger and I said, Roger, this is not the location. He said, yes, I know, John. I said, the location. He said, come here. I said, the location is at the top of the mountain. He said, yes, I know, John. And I said, well, are we going in that, Roger? He said, yes, I know. I said, well, I have to tell you, Roger, that I'm really frightened of heights. I'm petrified of heights. He said, oh gosh. Well, I'm a little bit worried, he said, so I'll tell you what, by now a lot of the young skiers that arrived were all milling around the course to recognize Roger. Everyone knew the whole film unit was in Cortina. And so they recognized it. At that time there were no smartphones, no one had cameras because they thought we were just going to go over and ski. So he said, I tell you what we'll do. We'll go into the middle of the car, of the cable car, and we'll go in there first before they let everybody else in. We stand in the middle of the car, and then all the skiers will surround us, so we won't be able to see out the windows. And I said, well, you still can see a little bit, Roger. You know, he said, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll hug each other, we'll close our eyes, and we'll sing a song. And I said, well, what should we sing? He said, do you remember that song many years ago by Vera Lynn, which goes, we'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when. And I thought, God, that's a bit inappropriate, isn't it? And we're going all the way up there and we meet again. But anyway, that's exactly what we did. We hugged each other, we closed our eyes, we sang this song for about 10 minutes all the way up to the top. And then, I don't remember how I got down. I have no idea how I got down, but I got down. But it was an extraordinary thing that I think Roger didn't feel frightened at all, but he was trying to help me, you know, and he was very kind in that way, you know. Is there any questions you'd like to ask me about? You realise that there was no snow in Cortina. For 1 year, it actually didn't snow. It was snowing everywhere else, so they had to import snow and to see them at night, you know, funneling all this snow around the town. But it was extraordinary. And at that time there was a big international toboggan bob team.
Bobsled. That was that.
Yes, that's right. It was happening in Cortina while we were there, and we used to go in the evenings and see them doing it. Well, they wanted to get a team somewhere to do that shot when he's going down the ramp and yes. Roger's on skis. The four-man bob is in front of him, and the motorbike is behind him, isn't it? That's right. And the cameraman, he was a German cameraman, by the way. He I don't know how he did it. He had the camera there, and he put the monitor between his legs to see where he was going, and he was seeing that. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And some of the ski things, he was actually skiing backwards, filming Roger and Lynn Holly-Johnson skiing backwards down the slope. But anyway, you know, you've got a moment where the four-man bob turns round and looks at Roger coming down. Well, the idea was that when they were turning round, they didn't see the curve coming, and they went off.
Oh yeah.
And they asked all the teams if anyone would like to do this stunt, be the four-man bob, and no team wanted to do it because they thought it was too dangerous. But the second tier Italian team agreed to do it, and it was a terrible accident.
Yeah.
Oh, you know about it?
Yeah.
God, I thought it was
One
a
man
secret.
died, right?
Yeah, I thought it was a secret. Yeah, it went off and hit a tree, and it was fatal. One of them. Well, you know about that.
How was the after that happened? You still had to go on. Still doing the film. How was the atmosphere then set?
Well, nobody knew.
Oh, okay. So you weren't aware of why you were filming. When was this?
This
known to
happened.
you?
I mean, I certainly wasn't aware. When I was there, I wasn't aware that this had happened because when I first arrived in Cortina, I mean, there were about 30 stuntmen,
Yeah.
and some of them walking around with crutches, legs implanted. I mean, there's been quite a few accidents. I mean, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
You know that shot when Roger's skiing through the mountains, being chased by two men on motorbikes, and it takes his ski pole between two trees, and then the motorbike comes along and he gets knocked off. Well, in the shot, I don't think you ever see it. The rider gets knocked off, and he slides down the slope. The actual motorbike just zips into the air and turns round and comes down and hits them. I mean, you couldn't plan it that way. I couldn't plan it. A motorbike taking off, he going down the slope on his back. Whoa. It was just extraordinary. I mean,
It's a dangerous job. Which
Stunt-
learn
yeah.
about the accident? Like since when do you know about it?
I heard, I can't remember. So long ago. I mean,
Or like long after you
Long
made
after,
the film?
yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I
That
did-
they
we
managed to keep that such a
They
secret.
did. It was. I mean, the Italian police were involved, of course, because they were Italian subject. And I think at one point they confiscated that bit of film.
Yeah.
So actually, when you see the bob hit the tree, I don't think that was actually the real thing. I think it was a stunt with dummies and things, because the Italians just took away the film. You could see more implicitly what happened. I think that's. I didn't know what happened. I mean, Lynn Holly. I mean, I was there when we were on Monday having dinner. The young.
Yeah, we went to the garden.
Oh, you did, of course. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
How nice. I didn't realise it was going to be that. How was it, like a big concert with lots of singing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of singing, lots of instrumentals.
Very busy.
More than 2 hours.
Shirley Bassey was
You can see
there?
it on
She's
Amazon
on
Prime.
Prime, yeah.
Who?
Amazon Prime, you can see it if you like.
Oh, maybe.
That's it.
Only
You're talking
part
about the
of it,
concert, not
unfortunately. They
the.
only show like 1 hour out of the 2.5 hours.
And
But-
you said you got to meet Holly Johnson. How did you do that?
Oh, she just arrived, and I said, hi, we took a photo together. I don't know her socially, it's just,
Oh, I
she was
see,
very kind to everybody.
Oh, no, she's lovely.
Yeah.
She's lovely. Yeah, I mean, she's. When she came over to do some interior shots of the film in Pinewood, she and her sister came to stay with me in my house. But yes, so we keep in contact.
Oh, that's nice. Are you still in touch with other people?
John Wyman, I know quite well. We meet probably we lived in Bath, but now he's moved to London.
Oh, okay.
Krieger, that's the one. Yes, that's the one. He's yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, I haven't been to Cortina since. I met a lot of Swiss and German.
They're from the German. We haven't met.
We have, I thought I recognized you.
6 years ago.
Are you the only one in this group that were there?
I don't know.
You were there? In Cortina?
Yeah.
There were a lot of you there, weren't there?
Yeah.
What a wonderful...
Well, my video stops here, while John recalls the meeting with some members of the group in Cortina d'Ampezzo in 2016. But my audio recording continues, and for those who want to enjoy more funny anecdotes, I suggest you continue because John shared his memories about the casting for the 007 movie, and he talked about his roles in the theater. Since during his career he has specialized as a stage master to teach certain combat skills, he gave some interesting demonstrations.
Not the body, just the head. Okay? So I do that. Right, let's get this thing
I
back.
need to do this.
No, you don't need to do anything.
Wow.
Now I'll do the noise, right?
Oh.
Wow. That's got a useful training, right?
You see?
It's sort of frightening.
Yeah. And if I was here and I punched him, his head went back, he would just go. So you wouldn't see the gap.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Now they're kicking the ball.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
So what do you want me to do?
You're losing it.
Kicking the ball.
Kannst du quer machen? Kann auch quer machen.
Damit wir
Müssen wir nach hinten gehen. With the underground where Daniel Craig slipped down in the underground and
That's good.
Is that good? Okay, right.
Yes, of course. I keep forgetting it. Who organised that?
It was a combined organizing of the Swiss club and the German.
Yes, it was. Who was the Swiss chap?
Peter.
Yeah, he's been to London several times, and I've had
Peter and Marcus was the
Marcus.
president.
He was the president. Yes, he was there on Tuesday, wasn't he?
He was
Yeah.
also there.
Of course he was. Yeah. I mean, he came here once when I was doing one of these talks. He actually appeared. He happened to be in London at the time doing something or other. He just
If you Google Brit Movie Tours, he's actually in one of the shots on the website.
I believe it. I believe you because he does get around, doesn't he? He does. Marcus does get around. I mean, he's a great chap, and Cortina was just wonderful. I thought. I mean, it was just. Pardon?
It was a big event.
It was a big event. Yeah, it was extraordinary. Being back there after goodness knows 19. God, I was 42 when I made the film, so I'm
35
now.
years. 35 years between the years only and the meeting.
What, that's right.
81.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. So it's God, how time flies.
Exactly.
It does go, doesn't it? So what are your plans for the rest of it? Yes, question.
Initially, when you made the movie, we asked the same question to Madeline Smith about Live and Let Die. Did that change anything in your career? Did that give you more offers or more people speaking to you on the street?
No.
No, not at all.
She said the same, and I was quite surprised about that.
No, it didn't.
You
It
had a
didn't.
one film, I mean.
No, that is it.
Short answer.
No, it didn't actually make any difference. But I mean, at the time when I went for the audition to meet Cobby Broccoli and Dana and casting director, what's the casting director? David Williams. Yeah, I mean David Williams. I went into the audition in South Albemarle Street, South Audley Street. South Audley Street. And I went in, and of course, when I used to wear glasses, I had cataracts done, so I don't need to wear glasses anymore. I went to the audition, and I took my glasses off and put them in my pocket. And I went in there, and we sat in the waiting room before going in to meet everybody. So I met him, I spoke to him, but I didn't have my glasses. So we went into this large room, and there were about 30 people there. I didn't recognize anybody. I mean, she said to me, look, I'll be asking you questions, you just answer me. Everyone will be looking at you, John Glenn and Cobby and all that, and it was very pleasant. And I was in a television series at the time called The Talisman, and I was playing Philip of France, Philip II of France. It was about the Crusades in the 13th century. So I was doing a television series. So I was. It's always nice to be working when they ask you, what are you doing at the moment, John? Not saying, well, I'm actually I'm resting. I'm just waiting for a job. So we talked about that a little bit, and so after 3 days, my agent rang me up and said, "You've got the job." So I went to celebrate in a restaurant called Joe Allen's, which is, it was in those days an actor's restaurant. It isn't anymore. But and I was sitting having a meal with a friend of mine, and I saw over at the other side of the restaurant a friend that I worked with previously in 4 plays I was in with Ian McKellen in New York. And I went over there to tell her the news that I'd been, and she was with someone. And I sat down and I said, "You won't believe it, but I've just got this Bond film." You know, and I was addressing my friend and I was addressing the other person who I didn't know who was. And I said, "Isn't it amazing? I've just got the Bond film." And the other person who was a friend of my friend, she said, "John, I know, I'm Debbie McWilliams."
How long were you in Cortina?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3.5 weeks, something like that. But I was, you see, they cut 6 of my scenes. I did have 10. Wow. I ended up with 4, but they cut because they just ran out of time. I think all the stunts took so much longer, and all of a sudden, all my stuff with the dialogue scenes. But you know, I mean, when I'm by the ice rink, and he goes off and he turns around and says, "Don't touch any buttons," or something like that. The reason was the previous scenes, which we never shot, I was driving the Lotus, and I was playing with the buttons. So that's why he said, "Don't touch the buttons."
What was supposed to happen then when you touched the button?
Well, things happened. You know, things happened. I mean, yes.
What would you think about Roger? Was he a nice guy?
Oh, he was a very nice man.
Very nice?
Yeah, he would tell you dirty jokes all the time. just before a take, you know. He said, "Have you heard this joke between the Irishman, Englishman and Frenchman?" And then the punchline would come just before the director said, "Action!" He did it all the time. The director said, John, I mean, Roger, can we keep to the script, please? Can we just..." And so it was a lot of that. But he knew everyone's name. And I think when we did the 2 shot, when we first met, and I say, you know, the snow is very good this year at Innsbruck, and he says, "Not in St. Moritz." And when we finished that scene, the director says, "Well, I'm going to get a shot of Roger here," and Roger says, "No, don't do a close-up of me. You see me all the time. Give a close-up to John." That was Roger. Completely generous. You know, lovely man. It was desperately sad. I see a question coming up.
I was curious about the scenes where you said some were edited out or whatever. Are there scenes that you film completely with different? Okay.
They were not even shot.
Okay.
I mean, some of the chaps that built the sets, they came up to me, and because Roger and I, there's a big scene, a dining room scene inside Julian Glover's chalet, and we're sitting there having dinner, and so they'd made the set, and they came up to me and they said, "John, we've got a wonderful set for you for that dinner scene."
And you never got to film it.
Never got to film it.
Wow, that's a pity.
Yeah, right. I mean, John rang me up and he said, "John, I've got some sad news. We're going to have to cut 6 of your scenes. It's a shame because this might have changed your career." I think, who knows? It might have done. It might have done.
There's this scene where Julian Glover, Christos, doesn't want to shake your hand.
I know.
Or ignores you.
I know.
Is there a relation to that? Maybe
No,
in the scene that we didn't see.
Well, no. When we rehearsed it, he shook my hand.
So this was really instantaneous.
Instant, spontaneous.
Wow.
Yeah, he just didn't
Always thought maybe there's a scene missing that we should know why this happened.
No. I don't know why he did it, but it was okay.
It's made the character.
Yeah, I suppose. Yes, I suppose. Yeah. Yes, it did.
It was very, how do you say it? Ignorant to your character. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, people say, "Why do you wear this hat?" I mean, this is not the hat. It's the same shape as the hat. I haven't got the hat anymore. But because you probably don't know some of the type of shops that they have in London. But when I got a phone call from the wardrobe department to say, "John, can you meet me in Oxford Circus? We're going to go for your wardrobe." So I arrived in Oxford Circus and there was the lady, and I was expecting to go to the most expensive shop in Savile Row to get this wonderful, because I was an Italian, I was dressed very elegantly, and we went into a store called C&A. Do you know C&A?
Sure.
And I ended up with all this really rather cheap clothes.
Those were from C&A?
They were all from C&A.
Wow.
And
How rude!
But when I got on the set, when I first arrived on the set, dressed as I was, some of the technical staff, like the chippers and the painters, they said, "Aye, I didn't know Inspector Clouseau was in this film."
That was the meaning, I think.
Yeah.
He should be a sort of Clouseau.
A kind of, well, I mean, my idea of what he should have been was he was a pen pusher. He was behind the scenes bureaucrat in Rome. Just he wouldn't have a computer in those days, but he was a researcher basically. He'd never worked in the field before, and he got this assignment to go up to Cortina, and he dressed what he thought looked like, I don't know, I suppose.
Yeah.
Probably a spy.
I was a spy.
Because he started out like a sore thumb, because everyone was in après-ski clothes, and he came back looking like Inspector Clouseau. But anyway, so what are your plans for the rest of the day?
No, we have a dinner tonight.
Oh, where are you all staying in the same hotel?
Almost, yes.
But almost. Station Gloucester.
Where?
Gloucester Road.
Yeah. Oh, that's where you are, in Gloucester Road.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Tonight there's a restaurant directly at this point. It's called London Secret Bar. It has globes, sort of globes where you're sitting in.
Oh, right. Well, you're lucky with the weather, aren't you?
Yeah. Perfectly, yes.
Very lucky.
Amazing weather.
rain.
No rain?
We had some rain.
Yesterday.
Yesterday we had some rain.
Oh, yeah, it came down for very briefly, didn't it? It came down very heavy.
Yeah.
I know, it's so dry. I mean, these trees, I mean, a month ago were shedding their leaves in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
It's the same in Germany. Do you not have a lot of
Absolutely,
rain?
yes.
Very dry.
Do you live around this area?
No, I live in the centre of town,
Okay.
near Oxford Circus, really.
Oh, nice.
Well, just behind Selfridges.
The CNA isn't there anymore, right?
No, they went bankrupt. I think. I don't know what happened to them. Do they have it in Germany still?
They have
Germans are quite big.
My dress is
German.
It's a German company.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Still exists. Maybe they have closed their shops in winter.
They have, yeah. They closed it. It's a shame because I don't know why they did it. Who knows why the economy crashed. So have you seen lots of interesting places at all in London? Have you been?
A lot of them.
Oh, you went out? Have you been to Windsor?
No, to Pinewood.
Oh, you went to Pinewood.
I was
What
there
related stuff?
on the first day when it was open. I could see also the grave, but I could not take any pictures. Because
You went into the crypt, into the vaults.
No, I could not go there, but I could see everything, and it was
Because
very
he's
nice.
so tall.
But it's not very interesting there. The gravestone is not so.
No, it's very subtle. It's very, very yeah. I think that's what she wanted. You know.
In Windsor Castle.
Yeah, in the church in Windsor Castle. But you've probably have you been there?
No, not yet. I've been to Windsor several times, but not after the funeral.
So do you live all, apart from the odd person actually from the States? Do you all live in the same town of Germany?
No, all over Germany.
Over Germany.
I've only been to Germany twice. Once to Berlin to do a film, and once to, I can't remember, to do a Bond event of some sort. But this is a long time ago, when the wall was still up.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Just a long time. I didn't have much chance to see Berlin because we were shooting all the time, and so it was just going back to the hotel and going to bed and then going up. But we were out in the country, and it was beautiful around there, just outside Berlin, the countryside. It was lovely.
Are you still acting on a regular
No, I
basis?
don't act. No, I don't act anymore. I've just done a podcast. I talk about I was born in Strasbourg.
Yeah.
My mother is from Strasbourg.
Oh, I see.
So,
What's the name of that podcast? Is it just John Moreno?
just if you're going to YouTube, just say John Moreno interview,
Okay, all right.
and I talk about my life really. I mean things like I played Jesus Christ for BBC Two 40 years ago, 50 years ago, I don't know, a long time ago. I was Jesus Christ, and well, during the shooting of it all, but when when I was on the cross, when they put me on the cross, it was a quite a big event because they strap you in a parachute harness. They hang you up through the cross, so you're hanging actually like in a parachute. And it took quite a long time to get me up there. And then they looked at the watch and said, "John, it's
Lunchtime.
So you have to go.
How did you know I was going to say that? They said, John, it's lunchtime, and it's going to take us 50 minutes to get you off, and another 20 minutes to get you on again.
Bring your sandwich. Wait here, don't move.
They said, and they all pissed off for lunch and left me in an empty studio hanging on the cross.
For how long?
For an hour.
Did they bring some food at least
No.
for you?
That's real dedication to play Jesus Christ.
No, that's
I suppose it is. I suppose it is. But I mean, I could get my arms because the heads of the nails were glued into my palm.
Oh, thankfully.
Thank God. And so I just put my hands in where the ropes were, you know, and put them into that for the take. But I was basically just doing this for the entire hour. It was,
Oh my god.
It's
But
the
it was-
Stanislavski method.
what?
It's the Stanislavski method.
Oh, the Stanislavski method. No, I didn't feel it that way. I felt very human, I must admit. But it did help because the next bit of films that we did was when Christ talks to his Father, when he feels completely abandoned. So in a way, it helped me to feel abandoned, unimportant. I mean, they just left me. Christ, Son of God, they just left me. How dare they? No. But I do talk about that on the interview a little bit as well, because I'm also a fighter. I fight direct.
Yeah.
I choreograph stage fights, not only with swords but with, you know, punches and kicks and things like that. And and I've worked with I did a production of Hamlet in Vienna with Horst Buchholz.
Oh, okay.
He played the lead, and he was a lovely man, and I choreographed the fights there.
Wow.
So so I became, when he came to England, we had lunch, dinner together, and he's a lovely. He's now dead, unfortunately. A wonderful actor.
Yeah.
Wonderful actor. People just don't know how good he was. A lovely man. But, so I've done it in Japan.
All over the world.
Yes, New York, done, and I taught in drama schools. You know, I don't do it anymore. But when I was teaching in drama schools, I was teaching the students how to kick someone in the private parts, in full contact, but without hurting anybody. I taught them how to do it. So I said, okay, I'll show you. First of all, the kick must be with a straight leg. You can't actually do it like that, otherwise you would hit something more. It's very sensitive. So I said to the boys, okay, now you can kick me. I've told you what to do with your leg. You kick me. And the boys were very reluctant. They did it very reluctantly. I said, no, kick me. But they didn't want to do it. I said, okay, you girl, you come and kick me. And my God, they went, at last we can do this, for real. I thought, isn't that extraordinary? The girls just don't know the pain it can cause. The boys did. The boys didn't want to kick me. My God, it's
You
extraordinary.
have like a background in fighting techniques or something.
You know, when I was at drama school, I worked with a very, very famous fight director who would work with Errol Flynn in Hollywood, and so I was in the play doing a part, but I volunteered to be his deputy. You know, just to take some of the people who were not very coordinated, and I would remember the choreography and I would teach them. And about 3 years later, he couldn't do it anymore. So the production asked me if I could do the fights. That's how it started.
Wow.
So I started doing the fights.
You should have had a fight scene then. We should have seen how you fight with Locke in For Your Eyes Only. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, but the thing between the stunt register, which is the stuntman on films, and fight directors are two separate entities. The fight directors just work in the theatre, and the stunt register work in films and television, and never the two come together. Very rarely.
Okay.
So unless it's an intricate fight, which the stunts don't, they just deal with stunts really. Then they call in a choreographer to do the actual fight itself. I mean, they can do all that, but the interesting thing in film, if I punched you, I don't need to be anywhere near you. The camera would be here, and so you wouldn't see the distance. And then they would they put the sound on and post-production, you know. But in the theatre, the audience, you've got to be careful because the sight lines they would see that I haven't hit it. Unless I place myself in the position of the audience there, I aim there, past his face, and he reacts at the same time. But then I have to make the noise. So it's all tricks. It's like slapping someone, you can't actually hit them. But the sound has to be made, and the hit looks like it's going to be hit, you know, so it's all tricks.
And how would you do the sound? How would you do the slapping sound?
Now you ask me some trade. No, it's interesting. It's just what you do is you just pull the focus from the audience, make them look slightly somewhere else when the trick is happening. You know, so they're looking at the person who's throwing the punch. They don't see the person receiving it, what he's doing. You know, with his hands, the audience there. But then you can do it with the contact. If he holds his hands here, you can do it like that. But those punches from the front there, you know, you could hit them. The audience are here or there, you can hit them from distance. If the audience are here, then you've got to aim for there. And you've got to do the reaction, you know, the reaction first and then fall. But you have to make the sound. Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. And there are terrible accidents that happen on stage. You know, swords breaking. You know, you're doing the big fights, and all of a sudden the blade snaps. It snaps in half. I was doing a big fight. This is in the '60s, and my blade, it was a cutlass. It's like a saber but shorter. It's what they used in the Navy. Short cutlass, and it snapped in half. And the half that broke went into the audience and hit someone across the face. So it's very dangerous. These kind of things are really dangerous. You have to be so careful. But generally I haven't. I mean, I was doing the fights for King Lear in New York, and Ian McKellen was doing a big fight in Lear, and there was an accident there as well. And he lost all the use in one of his fingers. You wouldn't know it then. It wasn't my fault. He just forgot to do the parry in the right way. You know. I did a fight in Madrid where one of the fighters was so frightened of the sword. I said, you know, you're a fighter. You know, you mustn't be frightened of the sword. Every time the blow would come, he would do this. You know, I said, you know, you don't know who you're going to, and you don't know, he might be a wonderful actor, but he has no coordination. What do you do about that? You landed with someone who actually is frightened or falling, you know. So anyway, any question?
How was John Glenn like as a director?
Oh, lovely.
I mean, I can imagine there are some directors who are probably pretty strict. They have a vision and they want the actors to do that. They are commanding, but on set, could you bring in your own ideas and talk to him, and maybe he was like, let's do this?
No. What you do is you do the rehearsal, the camera rehearsal, and if he likes what you do, he doesn't say anything.
And he liked it.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's all to do with casting. If you get the cast right, the actor will do it. But and there's a lot of miscasting, we all know that. But if you don't. He just said one direction, gave me one direction, make it more private. In other words, reduce the performance. And that's a very good, because that's what happens with actors. You're an actor, aren't you? I mean, you can do a theatrical performance, but on the camera you've got to cut it down by hundreds of times smaller. Particularly, it depends if it's, you know, really close up, you have to do almost nothing. You have to think the thoughts, but you have to do almost nothing. And it's a different technique. The process is the same, but the technique of delivery is slightly different. Of course. But that's all. I mean, I'm more experienced in the theatre than I am in television and films. I think I've done about 6 films, really, tons of television. Which basically is the same thing. It's still the camera there. But I wasn't. When I got to Cortina, I saw the size of the production. About 300 people there. You know, and you had to stand in. I had my own caravan. I mean, talk about luxury. You know, you realise you're in a big. Having just finished the BBC for 13 weeks, where you really you have to do everything yourself practically. You know, but this is just. Food is fantastic. You're looked after. Mind there were only about 6 actors in Cortina. I don't think Topol was there.
No.
No, he wasn't there.
Do you have any recollection of, had McWilliams seen you in something? Do you know why you were called
No.
in?
She might have seen me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it works with casting directors. She might have seen me. She must have seen me, otherwise she wouldn't have asked me to come. And I don't know how many people they saw for my part. I don't know. I think it was a gut reaction. They just liked. They didn't ask me if I could do an Italian accent. I didn't know at the time I could, but anyway, I took some coaching. But when I did it, I had a really strong accent.
Yeah.
But when I did the post-syncing, they said, "Can you tone down the accent?"
Careful. Italian.
You're Italian, yeah.
Mi dispiace per lui.
Can you turn the accent down? Not the word, because I wasn't doing any movement, I was just exaggerating there, but you know, you just got to tone it down a little bit.
How convincing is the Italian accent for you as an Italian?
There's no Italian accent. You dub.
Okay,
okay,
because you saw the Italian one.
So we said earlier, everything in Italy is dubbed. It's Italian.
Yeah.
Who played Ferrara in Italy?
I don't know.
I did get a chap, a German actor wrote to me saying, I am you in Germany. The dub.
Yeah. Dubbing voice, yes.
It's quite common in Germany.
Yes, I suppose, yes, of course.
Could we do a group photo, John, with the group? Can we do a photo?
Let's do a group photograph.
Okay, fair.
Yes.
Is that all right with
Very
you all?
much.
If you want individual photographs as well.